Hindu YUVA is a registered organization on campus, which stands for Hindu Youth for Unity, Virtues and Action. So our objective is to represent Hindu tradition and value system on the campus. Our activity includes festival celebration, lectures, discussions, yoga camps, anything which comes under Hindu value system. So, and we recently concluded a grand Ganesha Utsav on campus as well as Visarjan. And we keep doing lectures like this in previous semester, in this semester, and we have planned for next semester also. So we are glad that Dr. Shastri has agreed to give a lecture on a very mysterious and nice topic. So thank you for that. And just to updates, on Sunday we have our Indian Prime Minister speech in Madison Square. So we'll be screening that in Carver on a big screen so we all can see it together. And so we are all ready for it. IAC is organizing that, and this is we are supporting that. Similarly, for Kashmir Fund Relief, Kashmir Flood Relief, the Sankal ISA and Hindu YUVA has a joint initiative to collect money. We are sending money to Sankal, so we are supporting the cause. So after the talks over, during refreshment, you can give you donate the money to the table outside, and you can sign up if you want to get more updates regarding Hindu YUVA in future. Before we begin, I request Dr. Gadia to introduce the Thank you. Yeah, so the speech is will start at 11 o'clock. So we'll be there Car from 10 o'clock. If you register outside, you sign up your email outside, I'll send you the email after the event. So you have to fill it.
We will also write it on this board shortly. Thank you for all of you. Thank you to all of you for coming here. Our thanks go to Hindu YUVA for facilitating this talk. Thanks also to Hindu Temple in Cultural Center of Iowa for this sponsorship, and to India Cultural Association for publicity. I'll say a few words. I've been allotted 3 minutes to introduce the speaker and something about this talk. Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and to large extent Sikhism are dharmic systems based on principles. These dharmic systems have a lot in common, for example, karma and reincarnation. Dharmic systems also have profound philosophical differences. For example, Buddhism and Jainism do not recognize a godhead. Okay? And a Hindu individual, on the other hand, should form his or her own personal belief of God. A picture of God, a picture not necessarily like idol or something. Dharmic systems do not resort to violence based on differences. I have not known of any violence among these four dharmic systems. The principles of Hinduism are not rooted in history or proposed by prophets. It is claimed that these principles can be rediscovered by anyone. The literature in Hinduism is vast. It consists of Vedas, Upanishads, Purans, and Yas. These parts are significantly different from each other in style, but they are all considered rooted in Vedas. Itihas consists of Ramayana and Mahabharata, and they are not history in the modern sense, although the word in Indian literature is used as Itihas for these. Vedas quintessentially define Hinduism. Vedas have followed an oral tradition. Contrary to common perception, oral tradition has proved to be far more authentic than the written tradition of yesteryears, where every copy of a book was handwritten and naturally then susceptible to changes, especially before the advent of modern press. Well, Rigveda is an oral tradition too. In my opinion, it's at least 7,000 years old, and it was canonized some 5,000 years ago. Took a definitive shape, that is. To the best of my knowledge, Rigveda is believed to be the oldest book of humanity. The proposal for this talk came from Gita Group in Ames, and more specifically from Pramoda, and this is Pramoda Narivoli, who is with us here. Our speaker for today, Dr. Shastri, is a physician by training and practice, used to be. Now he is retired, and so he has more time for, for study of ancient Indian literature. It is my first time that I am hearing a lecture on Rigveda. I don't know about you folks, but it is very likely that the same is true for almost all of you, perhaps all of you. Okay, which is an irony because this is the defining book of Hinduism. Well, Dr. Shastri.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Because recently I've heard a lot of lecturers who keep on mumbling here. And I sit in the back. Maybe my hearing is going, I don't know. I can't hear a word they say. So anyway, so I want everyone to hear, and I'll be walking because they have given me this nice mic I can work. I need to make some disclaimers. I'm not a scholar. I did not go to Gurukul and learn all these things. It is my personal effort of having known Sanskrit to some extent and reflecting on these things. I'm about 80 years old, and I say to myself, what is this all about? This Rigveda, Gita and all these things, does it have any meaning? We are in the 21st century, or this is all some kind of a mumbo jumbo? This is really what has been bothering me, and I go through and I'm just delighted and flabbergasted to see these wonderful things being talked about in our scriptures, which includes everything that Shashi mentioned, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, etc. I read them and I reflect on that. I really don't depend on going to lectures by gurus and this and that. I don't. I feel that eventually we all have to read it ourselves and come to our own conclusion. And that is the whole idea behind what I'm presenting today. Because I did not learn this from any guru or anything. This is my own reflection, what came out of this, what lies between my two ears. Okay, so we'll get started. I may, forgive me if I gave some introductory remarks which you might think is a digression, which I don't intend it to be. But let's start with, and due to these, so now, if we can get this one working, then we're fine. I checked it. Okay, there. So I have chosen for this particular presentation because I said again, I don't have the credentials of a guru or running a hermitage or something like that. I sit in my house, an ordinary man in ordinary life, ordinary village called Huntley in Illinois, and think about this. And that's what I really want everyone who listens to me to do. That you read it yourself, don't depend, because I tell people I'm going to, so did you go to listen to this? Some guru, some teacher. I said, no, I want to find out myself. Is that worth it? And some such, that kind of experience I'm presenting here. Okay, Hymn of Creation. So this presentation will look at one such, now maybe there is something else. Vedas are traditionally considered revelations. That's the important thing for us. The Supreme Court of India defined a Hindu as someone who believes in the authority of the Vedas. You see, and I think that's a good definition, though it may not, many people may not agree with that. These revelations are ancient, 3,000 years, and Shashi says it's 7,000 years. I don't know, it may be long, but there is no history to tell us. Rigveda is the oldest and most revered. Has about 10,028 hymns or verses which were committed to memory in olden days. Revelations, what are revelations? They are not the result of thinking and experience. It's not come from that part of the brain. It comes from somewhere outside the sphere of ordinary thinking. That's why that's revelation. To that extent, there is a certain mystic element in that. And Das Gupta defined, he talked about Vedic religion being sacrificial mysticism. I agree with him. I think it's correct. Thus, they need to be studied with great attention. We need to meditate on them. That's basically what this is all about. And that's what I'm going to sort of take you in that direction and see how you feel about it. The presentation will look at one such revelation. So these are all revelations. It's not, someone did not sit down and say, I'm going to write about creation. Now let's see how people feel. No. He says, I meditated and this is what was revealed to me. That's what the Veda is about. So the hymn from Rigveda, the 10th mandala, they call each chapter mandala, and 129 is the number of the verse, which is about, though we are calling it creation, it's about pre-creation. What happened before creation? What was there before creation? That is what it looks like. Hymn is an expression of deep intuition of the Rishis set down in 7 verses. That's all. Only 7 verses. And it just blew my mind. I was reading that and I said, I think these people should come to know about it more and more. Not that they don't know. There is a lot of literature available on this. In my view, this verse is an invitation for us to relive our beginnings. That's what I'll make it clear as I see it. Relive our beginnings. Beginnings, not the birth, my birth or your birth, but the very beginnings when the whole universe came into existence. And harness the enormous potentialities that lie dormant within us. I think it is that powerful, this verse. Rishi, there is a common mispronunciation of this. We call it Rishi, like R-I-S-H-I, but that is the Sanskrit. Rishi, there is an U part in that. U-E, like the French U. So it's a Rishi. The common image of a Rishi is that of a serious ascetic man with matted hair sitting in a meditating posture. I'm sure most of you think that way. These Rishis, oh my God, he's a Rishi. I don't want to talk to him. So by Rishi is meant an inspired poet or sage, hymn singer, patriarchal sage. All these are meanings in the dictionary and nothing to do with matted hair. There is no mention of Rishi has to have matted hair. This I think came somewhere along the line it came. Now most of them were married and carried on usual duties, including that of raising the family, of which they eventually became the patriarch. So these are the patriarchs. That's why we respect them, Rishi, because they stand at the head of our clan. Some of them, and many in India, trace their family origins to Rishis. They will say, I belong to Vishwamitra clan, or Vasishtha clan, or this clan, that clan. That is, some of them were strict ascetics, strict. They didn't have family, they didn't get married, but sometimes they slipped. And one such thing is here. Vishwamitra is one of the sages patriarchs eventually, but he slipped with Menaka and a child was born, because Menaka in the Greek mythology they call it nymph. Nymphs are the same as our apsaras in Indian. And they don't have a gestation period, so they have a child right away. That's what happened. The child was born, and he says, no, I have nothing to do with this. So look at his rejection hand. Nothing with this. So they leave her, and she says, I don't want it because it's a human child. She doesn't belong to human category. Apsaras are semi-divine. So she did not want that. And this is Raja Ravi Verma's painting. And there she is, and then the child came to be known as Shakuntala. Her son was Bharata, and he would found the country of Bharat or India. So India is traced to that child who was semi-human. Hymn of Creation, I believe that the hymn compares well with the modern theories of cosmogony and stands shoulder to shoulder with the best of them. However, that's not the aim of my discussion. I'm not going to discuss what are the parallels between modern cosmogony and what is said in the Creation Hymn. However, this presentation is mostly my own reflections I want you to understand that. This is not taken out from internet or somebody, some book, read 10 books and extract something, and this is not that. This is my own reflection. So therefore I'm very enthused about it. A lot of energy I put in. So I have drawn some prose from a book called Myths and Legends of India by William Radice. I don't know how many of you have read that. It's a beautiful book. True to the, nothing artificial in that. It is well known that truth can be arrived at in many ways. One such way is an intuitional method, and that is what the revelation is about. Conclusions arrived at are still valid, even though no experiments were carried out. Because you see, we have this thing that, did they do some experiment to find out what happened? How did they come to this conclusion? How can I believe in this? That in some way, we can say that the Rishis carried out a thought experiment. You see, modern physicists have invented this nice term, thought experiment. You can sit down at home in an armchair and do a thought experiment and come to, and Einstein did that and came to a great conclusion. So you could do that. One truth that will become obvious is the fact that the Rishi of this hymn did not posit a creator. Usually when we say creation, we think there is a creator. This is the intelligent design kind of concept that's going on. If you see a nice watch lying down, if there is a watch, there must be a watchmaker. If there is a universe, there must be someone who made the universe. You see, this is the kind of concept. This does not apply to this Rishi who came up with, and that's what I want to bring forth in this. We have to read the hymn, think about it, and meditate on it. Like a kaleidoscope, answers will keep flashing. That's the beauty of these hymns. It may have one meaning today. You read it tomorrow, another meaning. 10 days later, another meaning. These keep flashing upon you. Say, how come? I didn't think about it before. Therefore, what I'm suggesting is only sort of, what I'm giving you is a suggestion, but you should read it. And I want to help you read that. There is no final answer about the origin of the universe in these verses, but that was not the point. The point of the creation hymn is not to tell you how this really came into existence and convince you of something that is happening. That is not the point of Vedas at all. So it is not necessary to compare this hymn with modern ideas of cosmogony. The hymn does not need validation. We cannot say this is great because, look at that book. It is written in that book. Therefore, validation. It doesn't need validation. It stands ever ready to seed our minds with new and fertile thoughts. There is a view of cosmogony. I wanted to bring this because I think it leads into the talk I'm going to make. The cosmogony in India, which may be complementary to this creation hymn. And this is like this. In the beginning, there was a resonance of the primordial substance, whatever you want to call it. That is called spanda. Spanda is the Sanskrit word for that. It is a resonance, maybe a vibration, or some such thing, spanda. From spanda then comes nada. Nada is a term which means it's a soundless sound. It is sound in the universe, but it's not a sound that our equipment called ears hear. And that then condenses further and becomes a shabda. Shabda is the sound we hear. That's the world, the universe we live in. That is shabda. And now in the nada, to understand soundless sound, that is that bindu in Om. When we write Om, the symbol, there is a small dot. Dot has no dimensions basically. So it doesn't exist in time or space, that bindu. That is what nada is. Nada evolved into shabda, or sound, that's what we hear. So, and this shabda was the Om. So according to these people, the first cosmic sound was Om, syllable Om. That was the first cosmic sound. Cosmic zoom, like Joseph Campbell, if you have ever heard it, he called it cosmic zoom. That is what it was. And these further, then they differentiate into Vedic hymns. So Vedic hymns is pretty close to the original sound, the nada. Therefore, it has to be reflected, meditated upon. It has got that sanctity about it. And these shabda then differentiates into human languages. Human language is always subject to error, confusion, misunderstanding. We talk something, they misunderstand us, we misunderstand what they misunderstood, and thing goes on. You see, so therefore they said, you go back, then you trace it back. So from these ordinary language, we go back into Veda or Vedic hymns, and that's what we are doing today. And then that takes you back to the Shabda, that takes you to Nada, and you go into this tremendous universe of which the Rishi of this creation hymn talks. Here is Om. And what I'm talking about is this. That is the Nada. So A, U, and Ma. They figured, I don't know whether they figured out that it occurred to some Rishi, we don't know who. A starts in your throat. U rolls through your mouth. And M stops at your lip end. Any sound in the universe, if you have to represent, has to be one of these. Starting in the throat, rolling through the mouth, and stopping at lips and nose. Therefore, they said Om is an all-inclusive sound. There is no sound beyond besides Om. I think they were right. This is, something to do with phonetics. I think this is so great. Now, there is a Upanishad called Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad has only 13 verses. But Shankara's teacher's teacher, called Gaudapada, wrote in a commentary on that of 300 verses, so thereabout, 200 plus verses. So it is that important. Mandukya Upanishad is sort of an excellent, but it's basically talking about Om. And they correlate that with waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and what they call as fourth. Fourth is that where the nada exists, that space of ever and ever and ever. So waking state, I'll tell a little more about that later. So even though this may be a little diversion, I thought you should know that because it leads into the creation hymn we're talking about. Modern scientists look at the sky, see stars, galaxies, wonder how all this came about. They run the movie backwards. That's the word they use. We'll run the movie backwards and see where it all began. And it all began, according to them, a singularity at a point. They call it singularity, and this has been called the Big Bang. The Rishis of Creation Hymn also ran the movie backward. But more than 3,000 years ago, they saw chaos, disorder, but no singularity. So there is no question of singularity here in Creation Hymn. Rishis imagined a realm in which there was neither non-existence nor existence. In other words, there was something you could not say, yeah, it is there. No. Well, then it is not there. No, that's not right either. So our ordinary language, human language, of saying it is not, was not applicable. That's what they're saying. Non-existent, existent. Yet there must have been a stirring in it if out of that nothingness, creation could emerge. In the world we know, this is a very important point. The actors precede action. That is the intelligent design. There is an action called the watch. So there must be someone who made the watch. So the actors come before the action. But that is not so. In Creation Hymn, the action happened before the actors. Beautiful thing to remember. And this is my point about karma also. Karma is also the same. Karma exists before the karta, the one who does that, karma comes in. Karma is ever living. It's a very, sort of universal thing that has existed long before the karta, doer came. So here, in the world we know, actors precede action. But before creation, action must somehow precede the actor. There were no actors at the beginning, yet the action happened. Creation happened, there was no creator. It was like a stirring in an infinitely deep, bottomless ocean. Yet there was no water, no ocean. All right. So this with these introductory remarks of few, because I need to set the stage for this thing now, which I will read in Sanskrit, so that way I cannot. You see, Vedic hymns are to be recited in particular with intonation, with accent, etc. We don't have to worry about that. Here, so the Sanskrit. Nasadasi no sadasi tadani. Nasi drajaha no vyoma paro yat. Kimavarivaha kuha kasya sharman ambaha kimasit gahanam gapiram. Let's take a look at that. What does it say? There was no existence then. That means non-existent. Na asat asi. Na asat asi. Asat, which doesn't exist. Na asat asi. Na sat asi. The existence did not exist either. Nasi drajaha. Raja is particle. In modern physics you can say matter. Matter had not happened yet, which is really, the cosmogony says the same thing. No matter in the beginning, after the Big Bang, for 400,000 years, there was no matter at all. Too much heat. So, na asit rajaha. There was no air. They are translating it as air or particle. There was nothing. No vyoma paro yat. Vyoma is sky, ether, space. There was nothing beyond. Vyoma paro. Paro is beyond. So there was no that either. Kimavarivaha. Did this contain some secret? What did it cover? Kim avarivaha. Kim avarivaha. What does it contain? What does it conceal? Kimavari kuha. Where? Kasya sharman. Whose protection? Was there some protector? Or how would this all happen? Kimasit or ambha kimasit. Was there water? Gahanam gabhiram. Gahanam gabhiram. Beautiful word. Gahanam. Gahana means opaque. It was so dense that he could not see. I could not see the face of the other. Gahana. Again, modern cosmogony tells you exactly that's what happened. Gahanam gabhiram. Fathomless. Water was so fathomless. You could not say it is 20 feet deep, 30 feet deep, or 2,000 feet deep. So, ambaha kimasi. Ambaha. Water. So, now, fluid, flux, liquid, it doesn't mean, we use the word water because we have another term for that. But it is the fluid state that existed. So, I have then, actual meaning of these terms. So, neither existence nor non-existence. What kind of thing is this? What was this state in the beginning? The word void may be appropriate here, in my opinion. Void or emptiness. No, you can't say it was empty. You can't say it was not empty. So, na sadasi, no sadasi. There was neither non-existence nor existence. So, void or emptiness, not absence of substance, but a state full of potentialities, not yet expressed. I would say that may be the best way to understand this na sadasi, no sadasi. See, people read that and say, what kind of thing is this? Neither, you can't even imagine what kind of state is that. The void which covered or concealed, kimavarivaha. What did it conceal? What did it cover? Kimavarivaha. The void is what it concealed. Within it, the wellspring of all that was to emerge. Follow this? You interrupt me if you want to ask some questions. Again, as I said, this is not something that I read somewhere. You can see these things. Namrutyarasit. There was no mortality then. You see the word tadanim. Na sadasit, no sadasit, tadanim. Tadanim is a very Vedic kind of term. Then, there was no time. So what could then tadanim mean? You see, this is the fault of our language. We have no way of saying, so we have to somehow say then, at that point. But tadanim really doesn't mean tadanim because there was no time. Time didn't exist. Because immortal, the word itself contains the word mortal, immortal. So there was no immortality, there was no mortality. Na mrityurasi, na amritam tarhi. That time, tarhi, na tadani, same thing. Na ratrya ahnasi praketaha. Na ratrya ahnasi praketaha, meaning ahna is day, ratri is night. So night and day, there was no separation. If there is no time, what is the night? What is the day? There's nothing. This didn't exist. No mortality, no immortality. There was no division of night and day. Anidavatam sudhaya tadekam. This is so beautiful. This one, it has got that alliteration and all that. Anidavatam sudhaya tadekam. Tasma dhanyanna parakinchanasana. Anidavatam, anid avatam. That was breathing. That. We don't know what that. That breathed. But breathe, you need air to breathe. No, there was no wind. He breathed windless, without air. He breathed ani avatam. Avatam meaning no air. So without the air, this one breathed. This one. All that you can say, this one. We don't know what that one is. Ani davatam swadhaya. Swadha is the term that will come again. Swadha is the inherent power. The potentialities I was talking about when we talked about void. That is Swadha. Swadha is the power that we all contain. Swadhaya, by his own power, breathe, windless. Swadhaya tadekam. Tasmad anya na parakinchanasa. Besides that, there was no other. So this was the only one that was there in the beginning, when there was no mortality, no immortality, neither non-existent nor existent. This one breathed, windless, by its own inherent power. No name. Don't call it Brahma or this or that, nothing. That's not, that's not the point here. So there was neither death nor immortality. There was no distinguishing sign or night of the day. Ratrya arnasi praketa. There is no distinction between them. Anidavatam sudayatade. That one, whatever, undivided, undifferentiated, beyond life and death. Because that one breathed windless by its own power. So you say, yeah, this was not a dead thing. There's something going on. There's some stirring going on. Mrityu, mortality, is for us an end of things. That is the end. And some will say it is the beginning. So, and perhaps beginnings of new. That was not there at that point. There was no immortality then. Immortality, after all, is absence of mortality. There is a whole Upanishad, I won't say the whole Upanishad about that, but Katha Upanishad, those of you who have read that is the whole question is about death. What is death? Is there a thing after death? As Nachiketas, this young boy says, some say he is after he dies. Some say he's not. So he asks God of death, what is the truth? Because you are God of death, so you know everything. You have seen the death of all. And basically what comes out is immortality is the basic situation or basic fact of our existence. Mortality is what I call is epiphenomenon. A phenomenon that came upon mortality, which is really non-existent. What exists forever and ever is immortality. Now on top of this, if you want to say reincarnation, was to emerge, was all there. There was nothing beyond. Therefore, no creator, no one sitting up there and saying, I'll produce the world, I'll produce human beings, make them suffer, give them this, give them that. Nothing like that. This one was breathing, windless. Reflect on that. This is beautiful, very, very strong, powerful words. Tama asi tamasa gulham. Darkness was hidden within darkness. Two types of darkness. So one, the darkness we know, the other, the darkness we do not know. So the darkness, tama asi tamasa gulham. Agre meaning in the beginning, at that point. Apraketam salidam sarvamaidam. Apraketam meaning there is no distinction of the water. Sarvam salilam sarvamaidam. It was all water. The word salila is used, but water, as you know, didn't exist then. So whatever importance you want to give to that when you meditate yourself, think about it. Sarvam, sarvama, salilam, idam. My feeling is apraketam, that is undivided. The water that we see today, we have divided into rivers, oceans, streams, lakes, ponds, all kinds of things. We have made praketa, we have made distinction, division. Such divisions and things. There are just water, if you want to think water. So, sarva, salilam, sarvamaidam, apraketam. Praketa comes very quite often, which is distinguishing, dividing one from the other. So in the beginning, darkness was hidden by darkness. All this was undifferentiated surge, waters. That which was coming into being. So that is the next verse. Tuchena abu apihitam. It may be, you may find it difficult to read these Vedic hymns. That is sometimes I think that's the problem. You might try what they. Tuchena, that was covered. Abu, that which was about to emerge. Apihita, it was covered by tuchena, by void. That which was about to emerge. So the hymn maker sees that there was something was to emerge from this. And that one was covered by void. Tuchena. Tuchena is the void. Tuchena abu. Abu is what is going to come. Apihitam. It was covered by that. Yadasit. What was about to come. Yadasit. Tapasastan mahina ajayata ekam. He came out of heat, tapas. Tapas is heat. Not the heat of the fireplace, not the heat of the furnace. This is the heat of the primordial, the beginnings of creation, beginnings of universe. That's tapas. You have heard, in India we give so much importance to tapas. You see, that is the nucleosynthesis, that they call it. The quarks had to come together, make protons, neutrons, electrons. They didn't happen. And pretty much he says that. Out of the heat came that which was to be emergent. He's not saying what it was. It's beautiful. Now let's take a look at this. Darkness was concealed by darkness. Darkness we know was hidden by another type of darkness we do not know. The secret was hidden within secret. Guhya guhyataram maya. In Bhagavad Gita he says, great secret, greater than the secret. I've told you. That kind of thing. Guhyat guhyataram. This is darkness we know was hidden by another type of darkness. All this was undifferentiated water. This undifferentiated water was to become the source of the emergent universe. Water is very important in many. Thales is a Greek philosopher before Socrates. He said water was the first principle out of which matter evolved. He said water is from which all this universe has come into existence. Thales, this is long before all this. And Kalidasa says, Ya srishti srishtu radya bhati. Srishti srishtu adya. That which is first creation of the creator, because y'all also not going to go into this one. And he says the first creation, he just leaves it there. He doesn't tell you it is water. You are supposed to read it as water. Ya srishti srishtu adya. Adya srishti. The first beginning. And that which was to emerge, abu, that which was about to emerge, abu, was enveloped by the void. Tuchena, apihitam, tuchena. That one still enveloped by the void, emerged by the power of heat. The void didn't go away because that which was to emerge was covered by void. The void remained and the one came, emergent. And we now have the void and the emergent one, who or which was to become all things. Non-entity, the void. Conceal the entity, one to emerge. Beautiful, you'll see that now. Okay, this one obviously the same primordial one who breathed windless. The one who breathed windless was pre-emergent. You could call it in modern days as pre-emergent. This one emerged out of the power of heat, generated within the chaos. It emerged from the undifferentiated surge of primordial liquid. Heat, tapas, was thus the first formative or transformative power, if whatever you want to look at it. From here on, the evolution of the universe would proceed. So the first was heat, and this primordial one that tapas. I want to say a little about tapas, because tapas is the word. Tapas comes from the word tapati, heat up, means heat up, warm, consume. Tapas is the heat before the light. Heat before the light. There is no light here. No ratri and no night, not day. So, and it is the radiant energy that lights up the world. In Katha Upanishad, a situation comes where the disciple is asking, when I see that one, that one, him, will he be luminous? All these people, if you ask, they say, I saw God, right? There is big light, and that is the question the student asks, will there be light? And the teacher says, there the sun does not shine, nor the moon, nor the stars, nor the lightning. These lightnings do not shine there. What to say of this fire? Obviously, a discussion going on around fire. It is its radiance that makes all this shine. It's the radiance that makes these things shine. They don't shine by themselves. Sun does not shine by himself. Moon does not shine. These things don't have power, but there is a power lent to them by that, the radiant energy. That is now today we understand it's a tapas. That is what it is. Tapas is that radiance, that heat that makes the sun, stars, the lightning, the fire, all these things shine, that is to come alive. It is the primal cosmic energy that has set into motion the cosmic flame. It is the same radiance which is higher than a son of our world, to whom we pray in Gayatri mantra. I thought I should add this because these are all connected, because Gayatri is also a Rigvedic hymn. So Gayatri mantra, where we say we meditate upon that which is higher than the radiance of the sun. I put it on here, this one, to show you. Natatra suryo bhati. There the sun does not shine. What are you talking about? Will that shine when I see? What are you talking about? We are talking of that which is the origin of the light of these. Natatra suryo bhati. Na chandra tarakam. Stars and moon do not shine there. Nema vidyuto bhanti. Not these lightnings, they do not shine. Kutoya magni. What to say of this fire? Tameva bhantam anubhati suram. That shining, all these things shine. So that means there is a source of all, this is the source of all sources, you see. And tapas originates that, emergent one was that. And tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. It is his radiance that makes all these things shine. Gayatri, probably most of you know that, Gayatri mantra, but may not know the meaning of it, because I found that asking many people, what do you think that is about? Oh, we meditate on the sun, we meditate. Total nonsense. What it says is, Tat Savitarvarenyam, that which is higher than the sun of our world. Bharga, Tat Bharga, that radiance which is higher than that. Tat Devasya, that luminosity. Dhimahi is a word I always try to say. They just loosely translate meditate. That's nonsense. I don't know. D is, it's like I Googled today. Google is a noun. They made it a word. Right? I Googled, just Google. It's not supposed to be, it's not actually a verb. D is a noun, meaning intelligence, mind, all these things. Dhimahi. So what? I incorporate them into my mind. I make it my mind, or it becomes my mind. You can look in those ways. So tad devasya dhimahi dhiyo yona prachod dhiya yaha naha. That which we call our mind. May that be excited. I think I have a prachodayat, drive on, impel, incite, urge, excite. May that stay here, and all my actions, all my thoughts be inspired by that radiance which is higher even than the radiance of the sun. You understand? It's that powerful a mantra. That's why it became such an important mantra for the entire India. Because it was not really restricted to any caste or anything. Okay, so that you may consider diversion, but I thought it was an important part because of the Rigvedic origins of these. Kamastadagre samavartatati. agre, in the beginning, kamastadagre samavartatadi. Desire came upon that one first. In the beginning, the desire came. Now the word desire, we have to be very careful about that. And so much nonsense written on internet, everybody who says they can translate this, and you can take a look at that as you go. So, in the beginning, desire came over, samavartada, meaning it actually enveloped it. Kama, tad, agre, samavartatadi, adi, manasaha, retaha, prathamam yadasi. It was the first seed of the mind. Desire was the first seed of the mind. Whether you want to consider that as the origin of all origins or whatever. I'll tell you what desire might mean. Desire, my God, there are no human beings, no nothing, no who is feeling desire for who, But people really translate that as human sexual activity. Desire, what after that. Which is nonsense because there are no humans at all. Who is to feel the desire? I'll tell you something what I thought about. In the beginning, desire came over, surrounded. That is samavartata. Desire was the first seed of the mind. They use the word mind. Okay? No humans or human mind. Desire and mind are coeval with creation. They came long before there was someone who wanted to feel the desire. Before he said, I feel desire, there was no one to say, I feel the desire. But the desire was there. You understand? This is the beauty of this thing. That all these things. Kamastadagre samavartatadi manaso reta prathamam yadasi. That was the first seed of the mind. Now, this comes beautiful. Sato bandhum asati niravindan. These people found the root of existence in the non-existent. What is has the origin in what is not. You see, it may actually put the whole thing on its head, but that's the beauty. So, Sato Bandhum Asati Niravindan. Who are they who found that? Pratipratisha Kavayo Manisha. Kavayaha, these prophets, these Rishis, these seers. Kavayo Manisha, they went into their heart, searched very deeply. How did this existence come? Where did this come from? And they found the root is in the non-existent. You see? So, Sato Bandhum Asati Niravindan. Pratipratisha Kavayo Manisha. Kavaya, these poets, looking at that. Well, I better finish. A seed sprouts and produces more seeds. Cycle of continuity is established. That is what he's saying, the seed in the mind. But the seed was born of emptiness. What came first? Chicken, egg? You see? Alright, so I don't know whether I need to go into that because kama means desire, and the breather and the desire arose from those waters. So in other words, all these things happened before there was someone to experience it. That's the thing that I think you need to take out of this. We always think the existent came from existent. The seed came from another seed. But the first seed came out of nothingness. So kama, thinking it is sexual desire, that is how they talk about. I think it's total nonsense. There is no. Okay, then we go to the fifth one. Tiraschino vitato rashmiresham. Tiraschino vitato. Tiraschina meaning spread across. Vitato. Tiraschino vitato. The extended across. Rashmi. Rashmi is cord or ray of light. So this is the first photon that God generated. In the modern cosmogony, if you read the modern universe, this is the first ray of light that came. That came, and Adasvidasi, Uparisvidasi. When the priests chant this, Siddhasi, they make it 3 times. Adasvidasi, that's that, because that's impressive. What was below, what was above this, they extended the cord across. There was something below. This, their cord. So then, this is very important. Retodha asan, there were seed givers. Mahimana asan, there are powers. Asan, Sodha avastha prayate parasta. This is where everyone, they think it's a sexual thing. That it says, Retodha asan, there are seed givers. Mahimana Asana, there are powers. Swadha Avastha, the inherent power was below. Prayati Parastha. Prayati was this incitement to action was above. It must be human, sexual, Total nonsense, because, it cannot be so. All right, so I want to say this. So let us see, evolving universe so far, non-existence, existence, dense unfathomable water, Gahanam Gabhiram. No death or immortality, no time, no. There was one who breathed winters. From that we find darkness, hidden by darkness, waters without boundary. Emergent one was born of tapas. Desire, enveloped that one, the first seed of the mind, and existent from the non-existent. Cord was stretched. And then we are talking about Sodha Avastha, inherent power below, Prayatik Parastha. And this is my interpretation. This is a common thing that you've all seen. This is Vishnu, the repository of all energy of the universe, resting on and dreaming. This is the Swadha. This is the inherent power. And there is Lakshmi at Vishnu's feet, and she is massaging his feet because he is dreaming and she is stimulating the dream. And in the dream is born Brahma. And we are the dream of Brahma. So we are the dream of a dream. You see, Swadha is the inherent power, and Trayati is this lady who is massaging and producing that. In other words, inherent power alone is not enough. You need something to stimulate to make it kinetic. The potential energy has to become kinetic energy. And that's what she's doing. Here you have avalanche. All the snow is accumulating. A small, some bigger, and all of a sudden big avalanche. Swadha and Prayati. Atom. Swadha and Prayati. Before creation, there were no points or places, no distances, but now there is a below, there is above, there is north, south, all kinds of directions emerge, and of course, now and then, yesterday and tomorrow. All these things arise. Ko Adha Veda. Kaiha Pravocha. Ko Adha Veda. Who knows for certain? Ko Adha Veda. Who understands it for certain? Kaiha Pravocha. Who here will proclaim? Who will stand up and say, what happened? Kaiha Kuta Ajata. How did this all come to be? Iyam Visrushti. This what we call as creation. How did this all come? Arvag Deva Asya Visarjanena. The gods came afterwards. Gods were created out of this thing. So how could they know? They came afterwards. Arvag Veda Asya Visarjanena. Atha Ko Veda. Yata Babhuva. How does anyone know how this came about? Iyam Visrushti. Yata Babhuva. How this creation. How did that? From where did this all come? Yadiva Dade, did it form itself? Yadivana, or it did not form itself. Yo Asyadhyaksha, Parame Vyoma, high up in the heaven. That one who has seen all these things, he knows, but perhaps he doesn't know. Because after all, he came afterwards. Yo Asyadhyaksha, Parame Vyoma, so Angaveda, he surely knows because he's there, he saw it. Yadivana, probably he doesn't know. That is and I'll tell you a few of my concluding because I'm just going fast. Okay, what it says is this. The creation, what the Rishis saw was a bottom-up universe. No top-down. Top-down meaning there's a creator, I'm ordering all this thing to happen. Human being just was nothing. It emerged. Abu, that is the word they use. There is no suggestion of a top-down with a creator ordering things. The hymn is short and succinct, and all Abrahamic religions, meaning Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they all believe in a creator. There is no emergent. That concept is so new to them, so foreign to them, they will never even think about it in another 1,000 years. This is the emergent. School of fish, self-arranged. Look at that, and you can get hundreds or thousands of that instance. Sand, we go in that, and pattern is made. Who made this pattern? How did this all come about? You can give saying about the wind and this and that, but there is kind of a this is the people who talk of complexity. They show this slide to show that how emergent processes happen. This is an emergent process. Flock of birds, same thing. All these things. And then I found brain, take brain, yes. Brain is a complex structure. Sherrington, a famous neurologist, he called the brain an enchanted loom. It keeps weaving this enchanted, all kinds of fabrics, everything comes out of this enchanted loom. Billions of neurons. And you open this brain and say, where is this all coming from? Oh, or I was studying Einstein's brain and someone else's brain. Maybe there is some difference with Einstein. That is all nonsense. Emergent phenomenon does not depend upon the structure. You cannot say that. So people are working in artificial intelligence now. That's what they're figuring out. They're finding. Just looking at the capacitors, transistors, etc., you cannot predict what that is going to be because it's an emergent phenomenon. You have no way of knowing it. So you can study the structure of the brain till the end of time and you won't. And this I saw recently. You might have seen this picture. In Sydney, on the DY beach, and all of a sudden these green balls were there. Lot of them. So who made these things? What is it? Beautiful, nice. They are balls of algae, self-formed, and they just floated and came there. And this woman who took it is this kind of spongy, has water in it. This is what we mean by emergent phenomena. There is no one sitting there making these balls. Okay. The hymn is not about events that happened long ago and far away. That is the mistake we do. It's creation, my God, that happened long time ago. No, it can't. It is about here and now. It is not a story of something. It is not a theory of creation, but it is about now, right now. The original chaos, the tapas, which is the origin of all material things, the desire which envelops all things, the non-existent, the cause of the existent, swada, prayati, these are all the basis of our existence. That is what the hymn is trying to say. That, don't think about the theory, a story that happened a long time ago. We are in the creation, So we relive creation every day, every moment of our life. Creation is an active, ongoing process. There is a continuity in it. We are not outside the creation looking in. Look at the creation. Look at the Big Bang that happened. It's not an explosion of that, and we are embedded. We are embedded in creation. So we are embedded in it. We walk, talk, and live in that creation. So look at that hymn as that, not telling you a story of what happened, what's happening right now. How you are, what you are. How we came to be, what you came to be. Mandukya Upanishad says every day we go through 4 stages of consciousness. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the 4th. I already mentioned that. All these stages are represented by Om. In waking state, let me just say a little bit. In waking state, we live in the created world. The created world is A is not B. Aristotelian logic prevails. Like we are here, there's the Aristotelian logic. You are in one place, you can be in 2 places. All these things happen. In dreaming state, we create our own universe. As Brother and the Upanishad, some of them say that in dreaming state, you create your chariot, your horses. Now we go back to the imagery of those days. Chariots, horses, your singers, your dancers. What is more? You create your life. There is light in your dream. You became the creator of light yourself. So you create a universe. Even though outside, in waking state, you are living in a universe, in dreaming state, you are creating a universe. And in deep sleep, we lose our identity. That is when we don't know who we are. Your name, everything is gone. Your passport, everything. Your BMW, Mercedes, all things are gone. And then, in the 4th, the undifferentiated state, mentioned in the 1st thing, that Gahanam Gabiram. Gahanam Gabiram. You have to keep saying that a few times. My God, it's so powerful that word works. Sanskrit words are like that, Sanskrit, the language. Gahanam Gabiram. That is what you touch. Thus our aim in reading this hymn is to relive the moments of coming to be and to touch reality behind all realities. I believe it is possible to touch the wellspring of our creative abilities by understanding this hymn at a deeper intuitive level. So this, I'm not presenting this as something of a scholarly thing, because I'm not a scholar. I'm presenting it as something that is living, and it has to live every day. And Sato Bandhum Asati Nirvendam. They found the root of existence, cause of existence, in the non-existent. Who? Hriti Pratisha Kavayo Manisha. Kavaya. Those poets. Manisha. With desire in their heart, trying to find out. Hriti Pratisha. Looking in their heart. They said, what is all, where did the existence come from? So that's it, and thank you very much. So if anyone wants, but not that, I'm not standing here as a scholar, but we can try to answer it together. Closest to God, in my opinion, would be Om. Om would be the closest to God, I mean in terms of, but in this one, you see, God is a invention of human mind, isn't it? So that is no, it says that the gods came afterwards. How would they know? God did not create the world, because there is no creator. That one who is high above the heaven, he knows. No, he doesn't know. So I don't know what to say to that. You find out. Let us know. Yeah. The closer, the formative power will be tapas. Tapas was the initial formative, transformative power, was that heat. And out of that emerged something. You can say undifferentiated universe. It was not differentiated to all these things that you see. And then it was enveloped by desire. Desire is the attractive force. That attraction that brings the protons, neutrons, etc. together to make a nucleus. And therefore the first atom is formed. If the first atom is formed, everything else is formed. Yeah.
You mentioned that in this, the thought came up that there was intense heat. And if there was intense heat, that explains that there is some kind of energy.
Yes, Sudha. So that's a Sudha. Yeah.
And if you have energy, it can be transferred
Yes.
into various forms.
Right.
And that can explain all the creation and everything that you said.
Exactly. The word creation is not used there, but he does use it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what bothers me is if there was perfect vacuum, what was the mechanism for the transfer of that?
And they talk about Sudha and Prayati, the inherent power and the stimulus, trigger for that Sudha to become rest. But you're asking even more fundamental than that. I don't think there is an answer for that. Go Adha Veda, who here knows?
I think that's why it says talks about radiation.
Huh?
Radiation is a transfer mechanism which does not need a medium.
Yeah, but- Right.
See?
Oh, you mean the tapas radiation? Yes.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the correct word there. Radiance is the correct word.
Yes, and it does not need a medium.
That's right. It does not need a conductor.
That's right. Yeah. So I think these words are carefully chosen.
Yeah.
I have one question. How do you rank a Max Muller's translation?
How do I write?
Max Muller's translation.
I don't like any of those because they don't handle the Swadha and Prayati. My God, one is above, one is below, and they think of sex. What is it called?
So the concept of Brahma,
Yeah.
that we learn that has always existed. Sorry, that's how we learn from the Upanishads.
This goes beyond that, isn't it?
Yes, so now that's eternal, transcendental, has always existed, such as compared to a sat, which has a origin and therefore now here, there is, in the beginning, there is neither existence nor non-existence. So
That's why I said you have to. I suppose you have to read it and reflect on that and find out. These are not intellectual things. I think that's why I said revelations are somewhat different. That's why I said you need to meditate on these things. 7 words is not big. You can get it anywhere in the internet and put it, and then. And as far as concerning Brahma and Sat and Asat, I don't know, because there is no word Brahma used here. It comes later in Upanishads, in Vedanta, you see, but we are not going into that. Okay.
The concept of Nirakar and Sakar Prabhu.
Akar is the form. Akar is form,
Yes.
and no form is. That comes much later.
No, Nirakar you are talking.
No, there is no Nirakar there at all. Where is the question about form there?
There is no form.
Right.
That is Nirakar.
I don't know whether it's the
There
same
is no
thing.
form, there is
No,
no, there is just energy.
Form refers to matter. And here we are talking about pre-matter, before the matter came. Yes. So I don't know whether that's really.
In the beginning, the first and second sloka, it has been referred to that this being in the translations.
What?
The
Second.
Näsadiya Sukta, I think in the second.
Yeah.
It has been referred to as that one, this one, without a gender, any reference to gender.
This is not supposed to be here. Outside all these my things. What second verse is about? I should have kept it on, that's a mistake there. Let's go to that. We have a little time, I think, for discussion, so, or whatever, I don't know. So, Shashi, what's the program now?
Now the program is food has been delivered.
Okay.
You can take a break and
Okay.
enjoy the food and continue discussion.
Okay. Mrityu Rasi.
That one.
Which one? Anidavatam Sudayata Dekam. There was no way of this.
Tat ekam,
Yeah.
that word, tat, it refers to that, right?
Where is Sat?
If you see the English translation.
Where is Sat?
I'm talking about, so I'm saying tadekam, and in the English translation, it is that one. But I'm not making about the translation. My point is, we refer to that.
Yeah, as Brahma. Yeah, right. You could say that. That concept has come later.
Without a gender.
Right. Without, which is actually a concept of Brahma is the same. Yeah, correct.
Now, you go to the 7th verse, the last one. There on he. So
No, he did the. Where did the he come?
Third.
Before that, yeah. Desire. Here is the tapas.
Third was him.
he said,
Yeah.
This is 3. Let's talk about 7.
So chain up,
the 7th.
7, yeah. Who knows? Right.
He, that one knows or not.
He probably knows. That is what normal people would say. But he said maybe he doesn't know because he was not there. He was not there.
That's what.
Yeah, why suddenly we change it to a pronoun that has a gender?
That's why I say I think something we got to meditate, and we are 3,000 years later or something like that, 7,000 years later. We are sitting down here trying to figure out what he said. But the basic idea that you live in the creation, you relive the creation, and that will help you, your creative ideas. Where do your creative ideas come from? That's where it is, you see. So that should be the focus, not the theory. That's why I said it's not a theory about creation, not a story about creation, but an invitation to relive creation and find out in our own mind. Prati pratisha kavayo manisha. We all become those poets, going and searching in our hearts, finding a, and finding the non-existent source of the existent. That's, I don't know, Okay.
Perhaps a good time to break.
Yeah,
Dr. Bahadur wants to present on behalf of their Gita group.
Oh, that is what that was for. Why she bought.
We have a small Gita group, we call it, unofficially of course, and some families in Ames participate in that. And we used to meet regularly, but not that regularly anymore. But we still have that entity, and we talk about some of these things, but not at the level it was presented here. Because here basically we said we created things out of nothing. So we don't talk at that level, but it is something on those lines, and maybe there is some food for thought, and maybe some people can ponder more about it. It will be very enlightening. And I really want to thank our speaker for such an enlightening.
This came out of the meaning. Not just food for thought, feast for thought. Yeah.
Two announcements. First,
Thank you so much. I have three announcements, one for our upcoming events. So one is tomorrow, our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi is giving a speech in New York. We'll be screening it live in Carver Hall 101, tomorrow 10 o'clock. You can find the information outside. Then we have a Bhagavad Gita reading session among the students, that is weekly session. And the third one, we have weekly session for yoga and Hindu culture discussion, etc. So if you want to sign up for the emailing list, please sign up outside the hall. We'll be taking a small break for refreshment. Meanwhile, you can go outside and sign up yourself. The second, we are collecting money for Kashmir Flood Relief Fund through Sankalp. Please donate us. You can donate money through cash, check, or online. Please, that is also available outside the hall. I request you to donate and sign up for the emailing list. Thank you.
we can take a break here. There is some food, and if there is some interest after that,
well, let's have this clap.
बंद कर सकते हैं। चेक करके